Tanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. Rama, Rama. Hey. Jayam Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parvajakachara Ashtotara Shata Shri Sriman A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parvajakacharya Ashtotara Shata Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Goti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Namachari Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem Sekaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Shyamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki. Vrindavanadam Ki. Mathura Dham Ki. Navadvip Dham Ki. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki. Bhakti Devi Ki. Tulasi Devi Ki. Yamuna Mai Ki. Ganga Mai Ki. Samavata Bhakta Vrinda Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Namaste Narashim Aya. Pralada Lada Yaine. Hiranyakashi Vaksha. Shila Tanga Nakalaye. Ito Nishima Parato Nishimo. Yato Yato Yami Tato Nishima. Pahir Nishimo Vidaye Nishimo. Nasrima Madim Sharanam Pradaye. Lavakada Kamalabade Inakam Abhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyayakshipu Tanu Bringam Keshavadrika Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagarisha Hare Jaya Jagarisha Hare Jaya Jagarisha Hare. Tava Kada Kamalavare Nakam Abhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyayakshipu Tanu Bringam Keshabadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagarisha Hare Jaya Jagarisha Hare Jaya Jagarisha Hare. Srimadev ki, Prahlad Maharaj ki.
Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghu Shri Radha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Text 16. We'll read the Sanskrit in unison. Anakachita vibranta moha jala samavritaha prasakta kama bhogeshu patante naraka shucho. Translation. Thus perplexed by various anxieties and bound by a network of illusions, one becomes too strongly attached to sense enjoyment and falls down into hell. Text 17. Atma sambhavita stabda dhanam madanvitaha yajante nama yagyaiste dam binavidi purvikam. Translation. Self-complacent and always impudent, deluded by wealth and false prestige, they sometimes perform sacrifices in name only without following any rules or regulations. Text 18. Ahankaram balham darpam kamam krodham cha samshritaha mamatma paradeheshu radvishanto rasyu yakaha. Bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger, the demon becomes envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in his own body and in the bodies of others, and blasphemes against the real religion. Text 19. Tanaham dveshata kururan samsareshu naradaman kshipam yajasram ashubhan asurishveva yonishu. Translation. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, are cast by me into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. Text 20. Asurim yonim hapana mudha janmani mam aprapyaiva kunteya tato yantyada mam gatim. Translation. Attaining repeated birth amongst the species of demoniac life, such persons can never approach me. Gradually, they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. Text 21. Trividam narakasyedam dwaram nashanhamatmanaha kama krodas tatalobas tasmade tatrayam tyajet. Translation. There are 3 gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. Text 22. Etayar vimukta kunte yatamo dwaraisтрibir naraha acharat yatmanaha shreyas tato yati param gatim. Translation. The man who has escaped these 3 gates of hell, O son of Kunti, performs acts conducive to self-realization and thus gradually attains the supreme destination. Text 23. Yashastra vidim utsrijya vartate kamakaritaha nasasidim avoknoti nasukam na param gatim. Translation. But he who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection, nor happiness, nor the supreme destination. Text 24. Tasmash chastram pramanam te karya karja vyavastito yatva shastra vidanoktam karma kartum eharhasi. Translation. One should understand what is duty and what is not duty by the regulations of the scriptures. Knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so that he may gradually be elevated. Chapter 17, The Divisions of Faith, Text 1. Arjuna uvacha ye shastra vitim utsrijya yajante sharayan vitaha tesham nishtatuka Krishna satvam aho rajastamaha. Translation. Arjuna said, O Krishna, what is the situation of one who does not follow the principles of scripture, but worships according to his own imagination? Is he in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance? Text 2. Shri Bhagavan uvacha trivridha bhavati shraddha dehinam sa swabhavaja satwiki rajasi chaiva tamasi cheti tam shrinu. Translation. The Supreme Lord said, according to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of 3 kinds: goodness, passion, or ignorance. Now hear about these. We'll read one more, text number 3. Sattva nurupa sarvasya shraddha bhavati bharata shraddham mayo yam purusho yo yashraddha sahevacha. Translation. According to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. The living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the modes he has acquired. Back to text 16 of chapter 16. We'll read the translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Text 16. Thus perplexed by various anxieties and bound by a network of illusions, one becomes too strongly attached to sense enjoyment and falls down into hell. Purport. The demoniac man knows no limit to his desire to acquire money. That is unlimited. He only thinks how much assessment he has just now and schemes to engage that stock of wealth further and farther and farther. For that reason, he does not hesitate to act in any sinful way and so deals in the black market for illegal gratification. He is enamored by the possessions he already has, such as land, family, house, and bank balance, and he is always planning to improve them. He believes in his own strength, and he does not know that whatever he is gaining is due to his past good deeds. He is given an opportunity to accumulate such things, but he has no conception of past causes. He simply thinks that all his massive wealth is due to his own endeavor. A demoniac person believes in the strength of his personal work, not in the law of karma. According to the law of karma, man takes his birth in a high family, or becomes rich, or very well educated, or very beautiful because of good work in the past. The demoniac thinks that all these things are accidental and due to the strength of his personal ability. He does not sense any arrangement behind all the varieties of people, beauty, and education. Anyone who comes into competition with such a demonic man is his enemy. There are many demoniac people, and each is enemy to the other. This enmity becomes more and more deep between persons, then between families, then between societies, and at last between nations. Therefore, there is constant strife, war, and enmity all over the world. Each demoniac person thinks that he can live at the sacrifice of all others. Generally, a demoniac person thinks of himself as the supreme God. The demoniac preacher tells his followers, quote, "Why are you seeking God elsewhere? You are all yourselves God. Whatever you like, you can do. Don't believe in God. Throw away God. God is dead." These are the demoniac's preachings. Although the demoniac person sees others equally rich and influential, or even more so, he thinks that no one is richer than him and that no one is more influential than him. As far as promotion to the higher planetary system is concerned, he does not believe in performing yagyas or sacrifices. Demons think that they will manufacture their own process of yagya and prepare some machine by which they will be able to reach any higher planet. The best example of such a demoniac man was Ravana. He offered a program to the people by which he would prepare a staircase so that anyone could reach the heavenly planets without performing sacrifices, such as prescribed in the Vedas. Similarly, in the present age, such demoniac men are striving to reach the higher planetary systems by mechanical arrangement. These are examples of bewilderment. The result is that, without their knowledge, they are gliding toward hell. Here, the Sanskrit word mohajala is very significant. Jal means net, like fishes caught in a net. They have no way to come out. Maharaj, if you'd so like, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Shri Shri Gaurnatai Ki Jai.
Descriptions are quite fitting, self-complacent. Now, they think that they don't believe in hell, don't believe in heaven. They just believe in now, and they believe they won't get caught for any of their misdeeds, and that's all there is to it. Just try to squeeze out material sense pleasure as much as possible, and it doesn't really matter what happens to others. If there's any difficulty for the other party, then it isn't mine. He's willing to let others suffer so that he can get sense gratification. That's his mood. The song that goes along with this is one of the acharyas, I think it's Secular, sings how he's such a fallen soul, he's simply full of sinful activities, and he calls himself Parasuka Duki. Sounds similar to what the Vaishnavas are called. Vaishnavas are called Parasuka Duki, but he calls himself Parasuka Duki. And that means when he sees that others are happy, he becomes miserable. When he sees they're happy. Whereas a devotee, he's Paraduka Duki. He sees others are suffering. He feels bad for them out of compassion. But this person Wilson's like, he doesn't care. If someone else is happy, he wants to be happier. And he'll do whatever he has to do to get what he thinks will make him happy. So we can see this is Bhagavad Gita in real life. Every day, every minute, all these things are going on. And we're getting the fortunate opportunity to learn how they're going on, why they're going on, what the result is, and how to get out of this web of illusion, mohanjala, all caught up like a fish caught in the net. He's caught up with all these desires, full of illusions. He thinks that's the purpose of life, but he's caught in the net, and they have no way out. Because they Shastrapadim Utrija, they abandon the scripture, they disregard the scripture. It's like nowadays, who cares about the scriptures? Who cares what God thinks? Who even knows that there is God? It's become so downtrodden. People might say they believe in God. That's nice, they have a sentiment. But without knowledge, without transcendental knowledge, believing in God is a type of religion. I believe in God. But without knowledge, it becomes sentimental or fanaticism. And similarly, philosophy without religion or without love is just dry speculation, dry philosophy. So there has to be a combination. Bhakti, loving devotion, devotional service, and Vedanta, philosophy. The end of all knowledge is Vedanta. So without that, people are lost. Either they become fanatics or sentimentalists. Scientists would say that the religionists are sentimental. They like to believe in God because it makes them feel better. They like to tell the children that there's heaven. So they have something to look forward to, supposedly, after death. They're not old enough just to accept death as we do. We're not waiting for some special bird to come down and pick us up and take us to heaven. We know there's no heaven. Just try to live on earth, be happy, and if it didn't come out exactly right, then try to leave some of your inheritance so they can do more research. And they can come up with cures for cancer and other dangerous diseases. Well, by our leaving money, I'm leaving a lot of money to the different societies that research. And that way I'll become famous. So that's what God life's about, in their opinion. Just one form of some gratification after the other. And they want everything for themselves. And they don't know who God is, and they don't really care. No. It says here, self-complacent and always impudent. The word impudent, stabda. Puffed up, deluded by wealth, false prestige. They sometimes perform sacrifices in name only, without following the rules and regulations. Yeah. They It's like there's many people who are engaged in very grossly criminal activity. Still, they like to consider themselves religious, and they give money to the local church, the mosque or the temple, wherever it may be, and that way they feel they're also pious. On one hand, they know that what they're doing is wrong, but still they like to give in that way. So here, the name only. Sometimes they perform sacrifices in name only without following any rules and regulations. Did we read the purport to number 17?
Just read 16.
Oh, maybe we should read 17.
Self-complacent, false prestige. They sometimes perform sacrifice only, without following any rules or regulations. Or can we get some batteries for this mic? Purport. Thinking themselves all in all, not caring for any authority or scripture, the demoniac and since they do not believe, Hare Krishna, could we get some batteries up here? Thank you. Oh, thank you, Prabhu. If you could put this in. If you could finish it for me. Thank you. Purport. Thinking themselves all in all, not caring for any authority or scripture, the demoniacs sometimes perform so-called religious or sacrificial rites. And since they do not believe in authority, they are very impudent. This is due to illusion caused by accumulating some wealth and false prestige. Sometimes such demons take up the role of preacher, mislead the people, and become known as religious reformers or as incarnations of God. They make a show of performing sacrifices, or they worship the demigods, or manufacture their own god. Common men advertise them as God and worship them, and by foolish they are considered advanced in the principles of religion, or in the principles of spiritual knowledge. They take the dress of the renounced order of life and engage in all nonsense in that dress. Actually, there are so many restrictions for one who has renounced this world. The demons, however, do not care for such restrictions. They think that whatever path that one can create is one's own path. There is no such thing as a standard path one has to follow. The word avidhi purvakam, meaning disregard for the rules and regulations, is especially stressed here. These things are always due to ignorance and delusion.
If religion does not allow them, does not sanction their activities which are against the scriptures, then they're prepared to give up that religion. They say, I don't care for it. I don't believe in it. And that's all there is to it. I don't believe in it. It tries to restrict me, tells me I'm wrong. I don't believe in it. I'm not going to follow it. And they go out and start their own religion, or they find some so-called God, or they claim themselves to be God. These things are going on. This is written 5,000 years ago, but it's so pertinent now. It's so completely correct. Who can deny it? describes society today. And therefore, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna spoke it just at the end of Dwapara Yuga. In fact, Krishna, after he spoke Bhagavad Gita, soon after that he departed from this earth. And so Bhagavad Gita is primarily for those Kali Yuga, because formerly people didn't need to have writing. They could remember everything, hearing it. But in Kali Yuga, we need to have things written down for us to remember them. And for Bhagavad Gita is our most important book, because this is what gives us knowledge that we're a spirit soul. Who's God? What's our relationship? How can we live in this world? What's the purpose of life? What happens after death? Happens. Or all these things are explained in Bhagavad Gita. And unfortunately, although they speculate and they try to understand, they try to come up with something that matches, but because they don't really understand it, they come up with things like the soul and the body together are a person. And they have different philosophies about eternality and whether there's hell or not. So they're trying to understand, but mental speculation is not sufficient for understanding the laws of God. One has to receive them and understand them as they're explained by the Mahajans, great souls.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. I'm going to go back to text 16 and take a look at the purport. Read the translation again. Thus perplexed by various anxieties and bound by a network of illusions, one becomes too strongly attached to sense enjoyment and falls down into hell. Had anyone a question from what Maharaj had to say? Feel free to ask at any given point. We're getting to the point within this chapter where Krishna is really starting to lay out just how a demoniac man thinks. First sentence of the purport, so applicable. Oh. Krishna says in chapter 2, he summarizes man's material predicament in this incredible, insatiable lust that plagues man, always trying to acquire more and more prestige, wealth, women, material opulence, and sense enjoyment, never satisfied. This leads to frustration when such desires inevitably go unfulfilled. From that frustration comes delusion. From that delusion becomes bewilderment of memory, and upon their memory becoming so bewildered, they lose their intelligence. And finally, after that, they fall down into the material pool of existence, where, as we see, they're caught like fishes in a net with no way to come out. Prabhupada, he says this, the last sentence of this purport. It's a very intense visual to summarize our material existence thus far. So this is our position as we try to enjoy materially. And how do we get here? Where does this lust come from? It comes from a desire, a misunderstanding, and a desire to enjoy like Krishna, as Krishna. Krishna allows us to forget our position as eternal servant to him, so that we may try our best to go about this material world with our free will as we please. But actually, we're just totally controlled by the modes, material nature. The living entity, he thinks that he's the doer of activities. Actually, he's just a part of a program that's running so seamlessly he doesn't even notice. And it's so incredible, our bewilderment and our loss of intelligence, to see all this order, all this nature around us, and to not even ask the question, whose nature is it? But no, we actually think that what we can see, what we can experience with our most basic senses, that this is the all in all. There's nothing beyond this world, this life. Very foolish. And this is propagated by scientists who are supposed to lead us into further areas of development, of understanding in our position in this material world. Actually, because they don't accept the Vedas, what contribution can they really give? Not anything so valuable. Maharaj made the point that for the person who can at least understand that he is going to die, which is a lot more than some people, that person might try to carry out their legacy, ensure that their legacy is solidified for when that time of death does come for them, so that they might still be remembered in the name of a hospital wing, or in some invention that they made, or this or that, putting all their eggs in that basket, not realizing that even some great material work that they might be remembered for is only for a short time in the grand scheme of things. So every day, as we've heard this morning in the last few days, every day of Brahma, at the end of that day, there's a small destruction of that universe. And then at the end of every life of Brahma, there's total destruction of the universe. So I remember the last time I sat with my father, I was talking to him about this, very heavy bombs I was dropping that speak to my own foolish nature. But I was trying to explain this philosophy, and I was just putting it all out there. And he was talking, I was asking him how he was doing with life and where his mentality was, what he thought was important, these things. And he said something about trying to create his legacy for his children and for his grandchildren now, trying to immortalize himself in this world in some way or other. And I remember telling him that he would never be remembered for eternity in the way that he hopes, because nothing that he does matters separate from his endeavor to know God, to serve God, to glorify God, to hear God. These are the ways that we can be remembered. Because that's transcendental to the material creation and destruction. So, like I said, that wasn't maybe the best preaching I could have done in that moment. Maybe, yeah, there's a time and place for that, and that certainly was not it. Let's look at some of these more qualities, these qualities of the demoniac man. He's enamored by the possessions he already has, such as land, family, house, and bank balance. He's always planning to improve them. He believes in his own strength. He does not know that whatever he is gaining is due to his past good deeds. He is given an opportunity to accumulate such things, but he has no conception of past causes. He simply thinks that all his massive wealth is due to his own endeavor, believing in the strength of his personal work, not in the law of karma. Because only in that way of seeing his massive wealth as his own personal work can you delude yourself into enjoying that. If you see this as just, okay, this is my position in this life that I've been given, is somehow or other through past activities that I can't remember, I've been given this fortunate situation, or I've been given this unfortunate situation. You know, it's if one can understand that there's such an order to our lives, to the life of all creation, then they can see that nothing there is actually theirs to enjoy. And naturally, our philosophy is going to be very, some people might find it repulsive because they might not be able to articulate why, but that's why. Because to accept this, to accept that there's the law of karma, means that nothing that they think is theirs is actually theirs. So it's important to understand why people are so hesitant to take this philosophy. It's not because it's lacking anything at all. It's because they're simply not there. This is a philosophy for ripened fruit. And so many times I've been preaching, trying to distribute books, and I've just wasted too much time on the wrong people, or simply not engaged them in the way that they're not meeting them where they're at in my attempt to engage them in Krishna service. This is the effect of a very expert preacher. We have some of these personalities here at the temple, so we get to learn from them directly. We must meet people where they're at. Krishna consciousness is so valuable because it's available to absolutely everyone in some way, shape, or form. There's always something to be done for Krishna, so we can help these people engage. And even just a small, seemingly insignificant act of service that they do for Krishna, Krishna remembers that and he never forgets it. And there's no loss or diminution for that person on their path back home to Godhead. So every moment, this is actually the mindset of one who's working out of the neophyte stage of devotional service. He's absorbed in the thought of preaching, and he's wondering how can he, with his peers, how can they, dream up the preaching plans? How can they really explore the best way to spread the message of Krishna consciousness on a circumstantial basis? And as he's looking at people beneath him, he's approaching very meticulously in that interaction. And he's able to see where they're at because he's been there himself. And he's able to understand what they need because someone else had given it to him. So we must continue to let this knowledge flow from us out there into the world, to the hearts of other people. And we must understand that it's not coming from us either. It's merely been handed to us through nothing that we did to deserve it. It's been handed to us. So we must compassionately seek to hand it into the hearts of other people by the grace, the mercy of Guru and Krishna. That's made possible. Nothing through our own endeavor can we actually make a difference in this world. So this compassion that Maharaj was talking about, of the Paradukaduki, I think is what he said. This is the Vaishnav who's, when someone's suffering, he's suffering. This is what compassion means, actually. The Latin prefix "com" means together, like community, companion. It's like, you're together. And passion actually means suffering. So compassion means to actually suffer together. And you don't do so in such a way that you enable them to stay on that track, that you feed into all of their, whatever it may be, insecurities or misfortune, or no, compassion is coming down to their level, feeling with them, showing that you care about them. Because only through showing people that we care will they begin to desire what we know. We have to show people how much we care before they care how much we know. So this takes time. This is something I'm working on every day, to meet people where they're at and to put my own senseless ambitions aside for the good of others and their service to Krishna. And this is how we get really absorbed in Krishna's service, how we actually reach unprecedented states of ecstasy. If we can rise to that platform of being so absorbed in how this person's doing in their service to Krishna, then naturally our service will become uninterrupted. If we can qualify ourselves just as a servant to them, if I can just serve them in their path to walk closer to Krishna, then naturally Krishna is going to pull me so much closer too. It's like just through endeavoring to bring someone up to the spiritual platform, we maintain our position on the spiritual platform. And Maharaj says that if you don't use this knowledge, then you lose this knowledge. You have to preach. You have to get it out. There's never a time in which we can be satisfied with our endeavor to spread this message of the Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna says, whoever spreads this message of the Bhagavad Gita, he's most dear to me. So we should see this as what it is, which is an instruction. Krishna's giving us a look into what impresses him, what he so desires from us most on a global scale, to spread the message of Bhagavad Gita. This is what we should strive after, because this is what gets us the mercy like nothing else. But first we have to know, we have to hear. Oh, I'm past time. If there's any questions, feel free to ask. If not, we can wrap it up. Yeah, Bhakti.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
I usually ask this kind of question, but like, how do we just like, how do we do the thing? How do we just like put a nail in it? Like, how do we just like, all right, this is the instruction, and then it's there. That's what we do, and without just like ignoring the sign and like not doing it. How do we actually do it? I mean, yeah, we could chant all day long, chant, 16 rounds daily, and come to the program and associate with devotees and still be left with like not doing it. And it's just disheartening. So what would you say?
Maybe you know more than I do. What does Lord Chaitanya say in Shikshastakam number 3 about being humbler than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige? Is there any other? He gives a couple more.
Humbler than a tree and smaller than
yeah, lower than a blade of grass,
lower than a
straw on the street. Yeah, so that's what came to mind for me. Prabhu is patience. You said, yeah, that patience, determination, confidence. Oh, yeah, with more forbearance than a tree. And there are a couple of different ways that it's translated, but in that way we can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. But it's through becoming sober. Dhira is a sober-minded person, a self-realized person. He understands his infinitesimal nature in comparison to Krishna. So he's not puffed up in any way, shape, or form because he knows how insignificant he is in terms of his size, his capacity. He's completely dependent on Krishna, and he's a servant to the servants of Krishna. And only when we see ourselves as what we are, which is so unqualified, can we remain in constant flow of devotional service. And really, that's the nail. That's just to do it, just jump in it and never get back out of it. To make everything we do as an offering to Guru and to Krishna. We have to understand that we're a servant to Krishna. Otherwise, we'll always continue to try to lord over everything, every relationship, every endeavor, we'll all see it as coming from us, ourselves. So I'm realizing it sounds simple the way in which I'm saying it. It's not that simple, but that's what I understand. That's what I understand that to be. It's a becoming unqualified. We think we're qualified. We have to realize we're not qualified. We never were qualified. And, is that okay? Okay. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.